Have you ever wondered, after decluttering your closet and your bookshelf, what truly remains? Most of us come to minimalism for very practical reasons: to have a tidier home, to save money. We think of it as a material exchange, less stuff for more space. But after a while, when the physical calm has settled, you begin to realize the greatest gift this lifestyle brings isn't on the outside. That gift is inner transformation. Japanese minimalism is not just simplicity. It is a tool that helps you see yourself more clearly, forcing you to make conscious choices in every area of life. When you remove what no longer truly matters from your space, you're also releasing habits, thoughts, and relationships that no longer serve your growth. This is a profound journey, and it reveals lessons you may never have expected. In today's video, we'll explore 7 core lessons I've learned from embracing this mindful way of living. These aren't rigid rules, but gentle truths about life that unfold when we stop chasing excess. We'll see how minimalism surprisingly gives you back a vast amount of free time, frees you from the trap of comparison, and most importantly, helps you build a new relationship with yourself and with those around you. In the end, we'll learn how to savor the present moment fully, a peace that no luxury item could ever buy. If you're seeking a pause to reflect on your life and are ready to receive the spiritual gifts hidden in simplicity, then let's begin this journey together. Lesson 1. Time is the most precious asset in life. There are mornings when you wake up with the feeling that you've missed something. Not an appointment, not an item, but time itself. Time passes like morning mist, silent, without warning. And before you know it, another day has slipped away, leaving you unable to remember how you truly lived it. We live in an age of speed, where everything moves fast: messages, meetings, endless notifications. But within that whirlwind, we've forgotten how to live slowly, forgotten that time is a kind of asset. And unlike money, time cannot be earned back, nor saved for later. The Japanese have a concept called ma, the empty spaces. Not only in architecture or music, but in the way they live. They intentionally leave gaps in their schedules, to breathe, to observe, to live. But most of us suffer from a modern illness: time blindness. Have you felt it before? It's when you plan to scroll social media for just 5 minutes, then realize an hour has passed. When you think a task will take half an hour, but it stretches through the entire afternoon. Or when you feel constantly busy, yet can't explain where your time is gone. According to a 2023 study by the American Psychological Association, the average adult wastes about 2.5 hours a day on unplanned activities, responding to messages, checking emails, or drifting into things that don't matter. That's more than 17 hours a week. Enough time to learn a new skill, cook dinner for your family, or simply rest truly. So what's the solution? It's not forcing yourself to be productive all the time. That only leads to burnout. It's shifting your perspective. Try viewing time as an asset, like money. Every minute is a precious coin. How will you spend it? A 2019 Harvard University study found that people who value time over money report 25% higher life satisfaction. For example, they might hire someone to clean their home so they can enjoy a full evening with their children, or decline an unnecessary meeting to make space for reading. Just like decluttering a room, you don't keep everything, you choose. Time is the same. Try decluttering your schedule. Look at how many things you do out of habit, fear of saying no, or the desire to please others. You can start with something small. Create a fixed empty space each day, even 15 minutes will do, where you do absolutely nothing. No phone, no email, no expectations, just you and a single breath. It sounds simple, but in those quiet spaces, you begin to see how you're truly living. And from there, you'll learn to set boundaries, to say no when needed, and to prioritize what matters most, not what's most urgent. Because in the end, what defines a life is not how busy you are, but what you choose to give your time to. Time waits for no one, but stillness helps us catch up with ourselves. Stay with me, because the next lesson will touch on something seemingly simple, yet quietly draining within us all: comparison. Lesson 2. Don't compare yourself to others. No two gardens are ever the same. Beneath the same sky, each has its own soil, climate, and seeds. So why do we keep comparing our flowers to someone else's? In the age of social media, comparison has become an unconscious reflex. We scroll through a photo, see someone succeeding, in love, or enjoying life, and our hearts sink. Not because we resent them, but because we feel not enough, not smart enough, not beautiful enough, not fast enough. That feeling quietly drains our energy, like rain soaking into the earth, leaving us with a lingering sense of inadequacy. But if we look deeper, we'll see that those photos are only fragments. Beautiful, but incomplete. Every garden has its shadows, moments overrun with weeds, and seasons of drought when no flower dares to bloom. We don't know how many nights that person stayed up late, or how many failures they endured before that shining moment. And no one knows how much effort you've silently given, just to keep walking, without applause. The Japanese have a unique way of seeing life. They don't put everything on a scale. They understand that each person has their own inner climate, something that shapes their pace of growth, their ability to bloom, and their way of recovering after weary winters. Minimalist living is not only about reducing material possessions, it's also about letting go of the habit of comparison. Because comparison is the thief of joy, as Theodore Roosevelt once said. When we keep looking at someone else's garden, we forget to water our own. Science confirms this too. A 2023 study found that people who frequently compare themselves on social media experience 30% higher levels of anxiety and depression. They fall easily into the spiral of self-doubt, low self-worth, and the feeling of being left behind. But when they began practicing gratitude, simply writing down 3 small positive things each day, their mood improved significantly after just a few weeks. From there, they returned to their own gardens, maybe not yet in full bloom, but quietly coming back to life. And perhaps the greatest lesson is this: only compare yourself to who you were yesterday. If today you took 5 minutes to pause and breathe, if you chose to read a book instead of scrolling for another hour, if you learned to speak kindly to yourself, that is already a new flower blooming. Your journey doesn't need to be fast, it just needs to be in the right direction, like a garden after the rain. It doesn't have to bloom all at once, just one small green sprout is enough for hope. Instead of racing others, learn to tend your own soil. Feed it patience, water it with kindness. Pull out the weeds named envy and self-doubt, and wait for your season to bloom, even if it comes late. Because you don't need to be anyone else. You only need to be yourself. Growing gently, in your own rhythm. The one who returns to their own garden no longer fears the sunlight in another's. Stay with me, because the next lesson will help you realize that some things can't be carried with you. They can only be lived fully in the moment, and that is experience. Lesson 3. Experiences cannot be compared. There are tiny joys that no one notices, yet they make us smile all day. A cup of hot tea on a rainy morning. The sound of leaves brushing against each other in the wind. The bright eyes of someone you love when they see you come home. Those moments, no one sees them, no one needs to understand them, but to you, they are enough. Joy cannot be measured, nor can it be replicated. Joy is born from within, from how you feel a moment, not from how it looks in someone else's eyes. And because of that, no two joys are ever the same. There's no way to place your experience next to someone else's and ask, who is happier? One person feels peace sitting alone under a tree. Another only feels alive when surrounded by crowds. Someone finds freedom riding a motorbike through the mountains. Someone else feels complete cooking dinner in their kitchen. These experiences cannot be compared because they are born from a single mind in a single moment. A 2017 study found that each person's life satisfaction depends mainly on internal standards, not a universal one. What makes you feel enough might mean nothing to someone else, and what makes another person shine may not move you at all. But that doesn't make your joy any less valuable. Minimalist living means learning to be fully present with your own experience without needing to compare it. A 2024 study from Loma Linda University showed that just 20 minutes a day of mindful activities, like drinking tea in silence or washing dishes just to wash dishes, can improve sleep, regulate blood pressure, and increase focus by up to 30%. Presence is like morning sunlight shining into the kitchen. Not loud, not intense, but enough to turn an ordinary day into something memorable. When we truly pay attention to each movement, each sensation, each breath, life stops being a list of tasks and becomes a vivid living experience, moment by moment. But comparison, even unconscious, fractures that experience. It makes us see a coffee break as a worse version of someone's vacation. It makes a simple meal feel lacking because someone else is dining at a five-star restaurant. It makes us stop enjoying our own joy and focus instead on what we don't have. There's a famous story about Olympic athletes. Silver medalists are often sadder than bronze medalists because silver looks up at gold while bronze looks down at nothing. That shows us our emotions don't come from where we stand, but from the direction we're looking. So instead of trying to create experiences to be recognized, allow yourself to live deeply within your own, no matter how small, quiet, or imperfect they are. Write down the things you're grateful for each day. Spend less time glued to social media, and learn to see others' experiences as inspiration, not as a measuring stick. The Japanese have a saying, "Only when you live fully in the moment can you find eternity." An experience lived deeply doesn't need to be proven. It leaves its mark in memory, becoming a part of you, like sunlight lingering on the rooftops after rain. Hold on to your own experiences, for they are treasures no one can steal and no one can imitate. Each experience is a small pebble, quietly creating ripples within the heart. Stay with me, because the next lesson will help you slow down to focus more deeply on what truly matters. Lesson 4. Strengthening your focus. A quiet mind is like a still lake. It reflects the entire sky. But in modern life, that lake rarely stays calm. Instead, it's constantly stirred by countless small pebbles. A phone notification, an unanswered email, a message left unread, and we call that a normal day. In the era of multitasking, doing just one thing feels almost wasteful. Yet, it is exactly this fragmentation that makes us lose what's most precious: complete presence. A study from Stanford University shows that every time we switch between two tasks, the brain takes up to 23 minutes to regain its original focus, meaning a single glance at your phone while working is enough to pull you out of your flow, and sometimes out of yourself. This fragmentation doesn't just lower productivity, it quietly drains our emotions. A conversation becomes shallow when we're half listening, half thinking about something else. A meal loses its flavor when we chew while scrolling. A task that should be simple stretches endlessly when focus disappears. The Japanese have an aesthetic called ichigyo zanmai, the state of being completely absorbed in a single act. When washing dishes, only wash dishes. When drinking tea, only drink tea. When writing, only write. It sounds simple, yet this simplicity is a profound practice of mindfulness. It requires courage to step away from the flood of information, and even greater courage to sit in silence without feeling restless. In his book, Deep Work, Cal Newport calls this deep work, uninterrupted periods when the mind can dive into the depths of creativity, thought, and connection. A study at the University of California found that people who work without interruptions experience a 30% increase in creativity. They don't just perform better, they feel happier in their work itself. We don't need to eliminate technology, but we must learn to draw boundaries: a workspace without a phone, a morning without email, an hour each day devoted only to reading or writing or thinking. These one-thing moments, when practiced consistently, become safe havens for focus. Like writer Haruki Murakami, who has spent his life protecting a simple, disciplined rhythm of creation, writing every morning, running every afternoon, and never letting the outer world invade his inner stillness. It is through that quiet consistency that his pages have reached millions, with a depth wrapped in simplicity. Focus is an act of healing, because when you do one thing, you're telling yourself, "This matters enough for my full presence." And then, you begin to notice what you've long missed: the sound of a pen gliding on paper, the subtle flavor of tea, the rise and fall of your own breath. Starting today, you don't have to be ultra-productive. Just try giving yourself 25 minutes. No notifications, no switching tabs, no multitasking, to do only one thing. Let yourself sink in instead of being stretched thin. And soon you'll realize, when the mind returns, joy returns too. Do just one thing, but do it with your whole heart, and that alone can make a day worth living. Stay with me, because the next lesson will help you listen again to the most important thing of all: yourself. Lesson 5. Understanding yourself. You can't rearrange a room in the dark, just as you can't change your life if you don't know who you truly are. Many people live their whole lives without ever touching their own essence. They go to work, go to school, fall in love, get married, choose a career, buy a house, but all on autopilot, or according to someone else's expectations. Some nights, when they lie down, they can no longer hear their own voice, drowned out by the noise of the world. And no matter how many jobs they change, how many places they move to, or how many plans they rewrite, the emptiness remains, like a quiet shadow that never leaves. Understanding yourself is not a destination. It's a continuous journey of reflection, questioning, and the courage to sit still in the not knowing. Sometimes just asking, "What do I really want?" is enough to unsettle us. The question sounds simple, but it's like stepping into a dark room, empty, silent, and so unfamiliar that many rush to fill it with work, shopping, or hurried plans. But the Japanese see emptiness differently. They don't fear it. They call it ku, the empty space that allows new things to enter. Like a meditation room with 4 white walls and a single potted plant. Nothing excessive, nothing forced. And it's that very simplicity that allows one to see their own mind more clearly. Like light slipping through a doorframe, revealing the dust still floating in the air. A 2023 study in JAMA found that people who practiced mindfulness meditation for just 10-20 minutes a day improved their emotional regulation by 15% and developed stronger self-awareness. Not everyone needs to meditate like a monk, but everyone can spend a few minutes each day to pause, breathe, and quietly ask, "How do I really feel today?" Minimalism doesn't always begin with cleaning out your closet. It begins with clearing your mind, with letting go of expectations that no longer fit, with releasing the old definitions of who I am that others once placed upon you. Someone who was once the good child, top student doesn't have to become successful by society's definition. A trophy once treasured for excellence can now be set aside to make room for a new passion, a gentler, more authentic version of yourself. Like decluttering a room, the journey to understand yourself requires time, light, and patience. You need the courage to look into every corner, where your wounds lie, where your failures linger, and where the things you've denied still rest. But it's also there that you'll find a version of yourself again, simpler, imperfect, but aware of where you're going and why. You can start small, write a few lines each day about how you feel, spend less time scrolling, ask for honest feedback from someone you trust, or simply sit quietly, doing nothing, and listen to your own heart. Understanding yourself is not about becoming perfect. It's about becoming true. When you know what brings you joy, what causes you pain, and what your core values are, you no longer need to live for approval because you've begun to accept yourself. Understanding doesn't arrive with noise. It comes when you're quiet enough to hear yourself. Stay with me, because the next lesson will touch on something equally important: how the relationships around us begin to change once we start living simply. Lesson 6: Minimalism in Connection. Some people enter our lives as gently as a breeze, yet leave behind warmth that lasts for years. And there are others who stay for a long time, but with each encounter, our hearts grow a little heavier. Relationships are like the objects in the emotional home we live in. Some are placed in cherished corners because they bring joy and comfort. Some remain only out of habit, obligation, or fear of cleaning up. But just like old or broken things, there are relationships that no longer fit, and holding on to them can become a form of waste, a waste of energy, peace, and the time meant for truly living. The Japanese have a concept called karapo nai suru, to make empty, so that what is truly necessary can be seen. In the realm of relationships, this doesn't mean cutting ties or walking away coldly. It means having the courage to look honestly at how you feel after each encounter. Does that relationship make you feel like yourself? Does it make you feel lighter, seen, and allowed to grow? Or does it leave you tired, strained, and doubting who you are? A 2023 study found that just one quality conversation a day, face-to-face, genuine, and unhurried, is enough to noticeably improve mental health. Conversely, maintaining too many shallow connections, especially through social media, can make us feel lonelier than being alone. So, instead of trying to have more friends, ask yourself, who am I truly connected with? You might not need a room full of people, just a small corner where someone is patient enough to listen, without judgment, without forcing you to seem okay. Minimalism in connection doesn't mean closing your heart. It means opening it with intention. Like Marie Kondo once said about decluttering, Keep only what sparks joy, what makes your heart light up. The same applies to people. If after a conversation you feel lighter, more yourself, warmer, or inspired, that's a sign they deserve to stay in your life. There are also relationships that aren't toxic, but have drifted off course. Calls that revolve only around complaints, meetings full of comparison, conversations that leave no space for honesty. With these relationships, try setting boundaries. It might mean meeting less often, or gently speaking about what makes you uncomfortable. And if necessary, allow yourself to leave, not out of anger, but because it's time to move on. A 2025 study from Grand Rising found that people who set boundaries in their relationships experience lower stress, greater emotional resilience, and less social burnout. Minimalism isn't just about choosing less, it's about choosing right. Try seeing your circle of connection as a garden. Some flowers need more care, some thorny bushes have withered. And there are empty patches of soil where you can plant new connections from a class, a volunteer event, or a simple conversation at a cafe. When you know what nourishes your heart, you'll begin to know who to walk alongside. Keep those who let you exhale softly, and release what makes your heart slowly go still. Stay with me, because the final lesson will close this journey with something most simple, yet most powerful, slowing down to feel more deeply. Lesson 7, savor the present moment. There's something strange about growing up. The older we get, the faster we rush, as if the present is never enough, and happiness exists only somewhere blurred ahead. But have you ever noticed? There are tiny, fleeting moments that make us feel truly alive, like taking a sip of morning coffee and hearing the spoon softly touch the cup. When sunlight slips through the curtain, leaving a gentle stripe of light across the floor. When the laughter of someone you love makes you pause, look up, and take a deep breath. That is the present. And it is also the greatest gift life offers us. Yet, the one we most often forget. The Japanese have a life philosophy called Ichigo Ichi, roughly meaning one time, one encounter. Every moment happens only once in a lifetime, and therefore, it deserves to be fully lived. Not rushed past, not replaced, not traded for things that may never happen in the future. We spend most of our lives thinking about later, after work, after success, after stability. But ironically, a 2025 Psychology Today study found that the more people focus on the future, the more anxious they become. When expectations fail to meet reality, anxiety grows, and while waiting for the big things, we miss the small, precious ones. A 2017 study in the PMC journal also confirmed those who live in the present, even with just a few minutes of mindfulness each day, tend to be more positive, less stressed, and sleep better. When we pause to feel the scent, the sound, the warmth of sunlight, or the cool touch of water on our skin, we're no longer trapped in thought. We return. We become present. Minimalism isn't just about owning less, it's about letting go of regrets about the past and obsessions with the future to make room for the present to bloom. An empty corner of a desk, an evening without screens, a conversation unhurried. When the outer world quiets down, the inner world finally has space to become still and deep. If you find it hard to slow down, start with something very small. In the morning, don't reach for your phone. Pour yourself a warm glass of water. Hold it with both hands. Feel the heat spreading into your palms, and take a long, steady breath. That's all. That single moment is already an anchor bringing you back to now. A 2024 study from Loma Linda University showed that just 20-30 minutes of presence a day, through meditation, gratitude journaling, or simply focusing on your senses, can significantly improve blood pressure, sleep, and life satisfaction. We don't need to live differently, we just need to live more deeply, moment by moment. Because in the end, life doesn't happen tomorrow, it happens right now. While you're breathing, listening, seeing, being, if you pause long enough, you'll realize everything you need to feel at peace is already here. Thank you for staying until this very moment. We've walked together through 7 doors opened by minimalism, from the surprising realization that you save time when you no longer have to manage too many possessions, to completely stopping the habit of comparing yourself to others, because personal experiences can never be compared. We've seen clearly that minimalism is a tool that strengthens focus, helps you understand yourself more deeply than ever, and most importantly, transforms your relationship with the outside world. All of these lead to one single outcome: the ability to fully enjoy the present moment. Minimalism is not a rule, but a metaphor, a way of saying no to what doesn't matter, so you can say yes to what truly does. It's not a process of throwing things away, but a redefinition of what it means to be complete. You begin to realize that you don't have to own everything to feel enough. If you remember, at the beginning of this video, I said that the greatest gift of minimalism is inner transformation. Now that you've understood these 7 lessons, I want you to choose one that touched you most deeply. My challenge for you is this: choose one small area of your life. It could be your email inbox, your social media friend list, or your desk drawer, and apply that lesson. If the lesson on valuing time is what you need, spend 15 minutes unsubscribing from 10 unnecessary newsletters. If the lesson on understanding yourself is what you long for, sit down and write 3 things you've recently bought but didn't truly need, and ask yourself, what deeper need was I trying to fill with this purchase? Don't let these lessons remain as theory. Turn them into conscious action. Real change begins with one small habit, repeated over time. Share with me in the comments, which of these 7 lessons will be the start of your transformation? Your sharing won't just help me, it will inspire others who are walking this same path. If you found peace and inspiration in these 7 lessons, please like this video and subscribe to Living Japanese Minimalism. Together, we'll continue to explore the paths that lead to a life that is lighter, more focused, and more intentional. Thank you for listening. May you find fullness in simplicity. See you again.